Well, welcome back to O in the C, Monday morning, and what a bucking game. Thursday Night Football, Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Chicago, take on the Nick Foles-led Chicago Bears. So jumping into the game, of course, a very disappointing game. Anyone rooting for the Bucs or Tom Brady or Bruce Arians or just anyone who was rooting for the Bears to lose. Very disappointing game, disheartening across the board. But of course, we're going to keep it positive here on O in the C. Keep it upbeat. So we're going to talk about a couple of small positive things that may have gone unnoticed in the overall just devastation and painful feeling in the gut of many Bucs fans that's watching this game. A couple small positives in the game. Where were they? It's tough to find. Trust me when I say it took a long time for me to think up a list of small positives for this game, but we do have a really minute, compact list, so we'll jump right into it. Starting off with Tyler Johnson, rookie receiver. Mainly when he's in the game is due to injury. However, this is the first time we've seen him in the game due to injury, and he was an impact player. Tyler Johnson coming away with a pretty decent stat line. He looked pretty good on a couple of his plays. You saw him show a very good natural feel for the position of receiver, which is cool. That's really good to see. He showed a good overall depth of understanding in kind of a veteran way. In particular, you see one play, he's catching a ball towards the sidelines and it's very tight coverage. Very small detail, but something that all receivers are coached to do. He comes back to the ball. After his route is run, or as he's on after the final break in the route, he comes back to the ball to help shield the defender from the ball so the defender can't undercut it and to give Tom Brady more room to make the throw. It's a small detail, but he comes back to the football showing good acumen. That's football acumen right there. That's how you're supposed to play the position. That's a technician's move. That's something that veterans do. You know, it takes time to learn that. That's a small, intricate detail in the overall spectrum of playing the receiver position. So it's awesome to see him play like he's been there before. That's good to see. Also on the play, to his credit, he did step out of bounds, but he makes the catch, he turns upfield and extends, immediately showing awareness of the down and the distance, knowing where he has to get to, puts the ball out over the sticks to try to get the first down. Unfortunately, like I said, he steps out before, but it's a good awareness play by a young player. That's a very good sign early. Next on the list, positivity. Another good positive performance from this game, and a guy that we may have to rely on a ton more moving forward, William Gholston. So William Gholston's a guy that I personally, I'll be the first to say that I'm very impressed. He has exceeded my expectations for him. William Gholston actually has continued to ascend. Now last year was really his best season up until that point, and I felt like it was sort of a breakout season for him. Multiple games and big plays where he would flash. You would see William Gholston all of a sudden, oh, there's a TFL. He's 3 yards deep in the backfield. He blew past the line of scrimmage, made a play. I didn't expect that to really get any better going into this year. I kind of thought, okay, that's peak William Gholston, which was fine. That was a good player, but I thought that was kind of the ceiling. And this year, I feel like William Gholston has gotten even better. Not only do you still see him flash in the run game, and you see him get the penetration plays that for so long we saw Gerald McCoy make, but you're seeing William Gholston just shoot those gaps and make those plays. This year, you're also seeing a big bump in pass rush. William Gholston is able to get pressure. I don't know if it's just because of an overreaction to the guys on the outside, Shaq and JPP, getting so much attention that William Gholston is able to kind of go unnoticed. Regardless, he is seizing his opportunities. William Gholston is having himself a very good statistical year. He's off to a tremendous start now. Of course, with the injury to Vita Vea, it puts more pressure on each guy across that front to play that much better. And William Gholston has shown that he may very well be capable of playing that much better. So that's exciting to see. You love to just see guys get better. Growth in a player is one of the most exciting things to watch as a fan. William Gholston has definitely shown you that over these last few years, and even just a couple games in this year, he's working at it and he continues to get better. Where would we go next? We kind of saved the best for last here. I guess in terms of individual performances that we want to highlight, we're going to go ahead and talk about Ronald Jones. This was a big game for Ronald Jones for a bunch of different reasons, just across the board. Number one is a primetime game where Ronald Jones was the starting running back. So obviously this is a big moment just for him, any young player. When you're starting in a primetime game against a good team, on a good team, it's going to get attention. You got to bring your A game. This was going to be a high pressure game for Ronald Jones because he was coming off of a fantastic game, coming off of a 100-yard day where he looked very good. He had a couple really nice plays. Ronald Jones was going to be under the pressure to follow that up. Additionally, even more so than that, Ronald Jones was going to be dealing with the fact that there was not a lot of depth behind him due to injuries. Leonard Fournette, active for the game, but did not play. LaShawn McCoy, out. Keyshawn Vaughn, active for the game, played, got hurt, left the game. Ultimately, he did come back, but clearly the Buccaneers were very thin at running back. Of course, WilOcho and the entire Buccaneers staff knew this going into the game. So for Ronald Jones to be able to go in to a game where he knows he's the featured guy and he's got to make essentially every play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back room, this was a big game for him to step up. Against a good defensive front in prime time, when there's no one else who's going to bail you out, you've got to make all the plays. He showed up. And going into the game, I was excited to see how he would perform because I knew that this was a big game and it would tell us a lot about his football character. But he just shows you that mental toughness that he can do this and that he can be that guy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In no way is Ronald Jones the reason the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose this game. He goes for over 100 yards again for the second straight game, which is I'm elated by that, but he goes for over 100 yards for the second straight game. Should have had a receiving touchdown. Of course, the referees, we're not even going to get into the referees in this game. If you watch the game, then you know. But should have had a receiving touchdown as well. Wound up down at the 1 or down at the 2. Ronald Jones stepped up in a huge way for the Buccaneers. In back-to-back games, Ronald Jones has looked like the guy that the Buccaneers had hoped he would be when they drafted him. This is really the first time I feel like over these last 2 games we've been able to just rely on him. We can hand him the ball and he can make something happen for us. It doesn't feel like he's being coddled. It doesn't feel like they don't trust him. They're putting him on the field. They're letting him play. And he's giving you results. That was a big game for Ronald Jones. I'm hoping that he can continue the momentum, a 3rd straight week potentially against the Packers. I think it's going to be huge to run the football, stay balanced. Do not let Zadarius Smith dominate and take over that game. But that's for another week. We'll get into that some other time. That's going to sum up all the small positives, and I emphasize small because they're borderline microscopic in what was one of the most frustrating games that I can remember, just across the board, win or lose. No matter how that game would have ended, just a very frustrating game because the Buccaneers did not look ready to play. They didn't look like they prepared, like they were ready to just be on the field with the Chicago Bears. Not the kind of performance that you want to see or want to watch the highlights of. Just not a good performance. Before we wrap this up, because I've had a great time recapping what was a horrendous performance by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we are going to do something special. We're going to give the Chicago Bears a little bit of credit here, and we're going to give out the first ever BUC award. BUC! This week's winner of the BUC award is going to be Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack really, he was a problem. In the most polite way I could put it, he was a problem for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from start to finish. Allen Robinson was in this discussion. I was going to potentially give him the BUC award, but it's awarded to Khalil Mack. It's undeniable. He didn't necessarily, I wouldn't go as far as to say he took over the entire game, but you felt his presence from start to finish. He was difficult for the Buccaneers to handle, and he dismantled them at times, single-handedly. So Khalil Mack, congratulations. The first ever BUC award on O&C goes to Khalil Mack. So for myself and all the other Buc fans out there, I'd like to say, Buck you, Khalil Mack. We'll get you next time. That is going to be it here from O&C. What a bucking game. We'll be back, hopefully, next Monday with a Victory Monday. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Green Bay Packers. That's a tough game. Can't wait to watch it. The GOAT versus Aaron Rodgers. It's not something we get treated to too often. Going to be a good game. Can't wait to see it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how our defense responds and steps up to a very big challenge. Thank you guys for watching. That is going to do it on this Monday. Oh, the C. What a BUCIN game. Hopefully, we're back with some smiles on our faces next week.